And welcome back to Top Dogs. My name is Fiction Boy, and this month is Pride Month. So, yay, everybody! Today is Pride Month, as you guys are aware. Whiplash is not here, nor is Stream. Stream got caught up with rehearsal, so he is unable to make it to this week's episode. And regarding Whiplash, he decided to take a leave of absence to deal with his own personal things. So it's understanding that a lot of people need to go through, life things. And also, we respect that and we want them to get what they need done first. Because, podcast is second. Life always comes first. But anyways, guys, yes, happy Pride Month. And how are you guys doing so far, the beginning of this month?
Surviving.
So far, things have actually been pretty amazing for the month, not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Busy.
Oh, yeah, you've been busy on Pride Month, Xavier?
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to Pride. I may. We'll see.
You may. Okay, before we continue on, Xavier, do you want to introduce yourself to the camera about what you do on the team?
Hi, my name is Xavier, Xavier Zena. I DJ for the team. I will be DJing club nights when that becomes a thing. I've DJ'd 3 furry conventions and hopefully more soon.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I do for the team. My name is Xavier Zena. Nice to meet everyone.
Well, we're glad to have you on the show for the first time. This is the first time you ever took the hot seat and probably had the spotlight on you. Well, actually, probably not. You're used to public faces.
It's been a long time. I used to stream, so it's been a long time.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's like a different atmosphere when you go DJ. It's a different kind of publicity.
Yeah, you're more like, woo, put your hands up, do the thing.
Okay.
Woo! Okay. Boots and cats in, boots and cats in, boots and cats.
But of course, you guys already know Sakura, our lovely videographer. She's going to be participating in Streams' absence, and so is actor Hal's. As you guys know them as well for being on the show. But anyways, guys, I guess I want to start off with the first question, which is we'll start off with this. What do you guys have plans for this month in terms of like Pride Month? You guys have any plans? So we'll start off with you, Sakura. Do you have any plans?
Probably my big thing is, as some of you guys know, I am a Twitch streamer, and so I will actually be promoting Pride Month on my channel by, I do have some emotes that are, transgender, pangender. I do plan on representing the flags on my stream, so that way people understand that, my stream is a very safe place to be for everybody. No one's going to be judged for who you are. No one's going to judge you for, pretty much your entire walk of life. So, that's going to be my big thing is, promoting, Pride on my channel.
Okay, at least you have something to do. You plan on going to any, pride parades in your area, if there is any?
Unfortunately, there are none in my area, so I'm just going to be kind of a homebody. Doing what I can with what I've got.
Okay. Hals, what about you? You got anything planned for Pride Month?
As of right now, I don't really have anything planned. Pride Month is something that I know happens every year, but I don't think it's a month that I was able to fully experience to the fullest, so to speak. Mainly because I've never really had anyone to enjoy it with, and I never really had the excuse of going out or even the opportunity to go out to do something. I could even try to do something for my YouTube channel or even for my Twitch channel, but at the same time, given my circumstances, it just would feel completely fruitless and not as much work and dedication put to it.
Well, let me get this. Let me clarify something. You are pretty fruity. Let's see. Let's get that
Yes.
clear. But I do understand.
It has begun.
So I do understand that events like Pride Month, especially if you want to go do events based on Pride, it's definitely probably something that you would want to do with a group of friends, and I get that. I don't know how I would feel if I wanted to go to any of these events by myself. It definitely wouldn't feel as great of an experience. Same thing like how you go to furry cons and you don't really have any friends that are going, and it's not as, it's going to be kind of bland kind of thing. So I get that. I know you mentioned this already, Xavier, but I was going to ask, why don't you, probably for an idea, like maybe to DJ for Pride events?
So obviously I'm like under 21, so it's very hard for me to DJ like any event, because most clubs, most places are 21 plus. That is one of the reasons that I DJ a lot of furry events and a lot of furry conventions. But I do plan on. I don't think I'm going to DC Pride, but I might go to Baltimore Pride.
Okay.
But there's actually a furry DJ that's going to DJ Baltimore Pride.
What is her name?
Loveless. Have you ever heard of him?
Loveless. No, I haven't.
But that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about, like, what's the difference between, like, the Baltimore Pride and the DC Pride? Is there any significant difference?
They're different organizations. And Baltimore's a different community than DC is in a lot of ways. DC is definitely more upscale. A lot of richer people live in DC, whereas Baltimore is more working class. So they're different, is what I'll say.
Okay. I'm not sure which one that Colton will be going to, because we do have a friend that is coming over. Is it? Okay, so nod for yes. Is it the one in DC you guys are going to? Oh, you're going to the one in Baltimore? Okay, all right. So you guys are going to the ones in Baltimore. All right. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. But I'm going to ask you guys the first question, and we'll start off with Sakura. So I wanted to ask you this. For anyone who doesn't know, what would you say is your gender, pronouns, and orientation? Because we're getting on a personal level here. I'm pretty sure the audience would like to know. Oh, you're muted, by the way.
Oh, no! I was adjusting in my chair.
Oh my god. You didn't want any squeaking.
Okay, continue.
No, my pronouns are she, her, and I am transgender, pansexual, leaning also towards lesbian.
Okay. All right. All right. What about Xavier? What about you?
So I identify as male when it comes to government. Outside of that, I really just go with the flow. I do consider myself NB because I don't like to. That's kind of the way that I identify. In any way that's, in southern states, I'm male because I'm scared. But
I understand
other than that,
I completely understand that.
but yeah, I'm NB and I'm bisexual.
Okay. And what about you, Hals?
I've been a dude all my life. I identify as a dude, and I've always swung the opposite way. I like swing with the guys. So,
Okay.
I'm gay. If that wasn't abundantly clear.
Swinging, you've always been a dude, but you swing the opposite way.
Like,
You mean the same way?
Yeah.
That made a lot more sense.
The
in
normal
my head.
heterosexuality just...
Yeah,
Yeah.
I messed it up. So
No, you're fine.
basically,
Well, you swing the opposite way of the norm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you could have said it. Yeah, that would have been a fine interpretation.
Yeah, I think that would have made a lot more sense. Like, I meant I'm into guys. I would say the one word, but I don't want to make Colton's life a lot more harder than it already is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes,
Guys are hot.
Yes, that.
There we go. There we go. For me, though, I would say that, of course, I'm a male. I've always identified as a male. I never thought myself anything other than that. But my sexuality is a little weird. I would say it's not really based on gender, but it's based on, I'm not even sure what the appropriate word would be, but I'm not attracted to people that are masculine. I'm attracted to people who are all in general feminine. So, for example, I would not be attracted to a person that is tomboyish, even. I don't know what the appropriate term would be for only being attracted to people that are in a feminine side.
I mean, the way that you kind of identify, because I know when it comes to, like, you know, both men and women, you kind of have that attraction there as long as they're effeminate. I would probably put you more towards pangender.
Okay. So
Or you mean pansexuality?
Yes, pansexual.
I would say like with what I'm experiencing, I wouldn't know that. Like, I know you said it's pansexuality, but it's not. But I want to clarify with something. When I say it's based on feminine qualities, it's not just appearance, but it's also based on the personality as well. So you don't have to look like a femboy. You don't even have to look like a transgender. It also comes down to feminine personality types too. Or just a regular woman that likes to.
What makes someone a feminine personality type?
I would say I guess what is considered the norm in society standards, what's considered feminine that I'm attracted to. That's the best way I can put it.
Okay.
So, like, for example, my boyfriend, he's not a femboy, but he likes, like, how, I don't know, if you want to pick someone that likes pink a lot, because he is that type of person, or he likes purses, he likes dressing nice, very flamboyant kind of personality, I would say. That would be one of those qualities that came with the feminine, because when people think of flamboyant personality traits, some people do think feminine normally. Mm-hmm. So that's the best way I can give you an example of trying to explain what I'm attracted to. Basically the opposite of what I am. I have no fashion sense anyway, so it's fine.
Welcome to the club.
Oh, stop it. We already know what you look like. You actually look pretty good.
Oh my god.
This is actually very true.
But, okay.
Did I meet you at FWA?
No, I never went.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So let me guess, and I guess it depends on your guys' perspectives, but I would like to hear different answers from all of you. Let's start with Sakura. How do you think the LGBT community evolved over the years? Or LGBTQ plus?
What do you mean, how involved?
Like,
or evolve? Or did you say evolved or involved?
Evolved.
Oh, gotcha. I heard involved. All right. I would definitely say, like, it's okay. I would definitely say, like, over the years, like, especially here in America and in other countries, the LGBTQ community has opened up. It has blossomed a bit more. It has become less taboo. I guess is kind of another word that I would use for it, because I remember growing up back in, like, the 80s and the 90s and even the early 2000s, where if you were part of the LGBTQ community, you had to keep yourself shut down because it wasn't as widely accepted. You were seen as an enigma. You were seen as something to be feared, to be bullied, to not be accepted. But I mean, as of late, I've really, really seen a lot of involvement with the LGBTQ community and being accepted, and a lot more openness to the idea of the fact that there are people in the LGBTQ community, and the acceptance of that, albeit there are still some communities who see it as taboo. I would say we're almost majority leaning now. Yeah, yes. We won't mention Florida. Anyway. To see how much it has come to light, to see how much acceptance it has gotten over the years, to have watched it evolve, has been absolutely incredible. And I really hope that this is a progression that we get to continue to see through the years, that, we accept people for who they are. And that's, that's what I've seen is, I've watched it go from being taboo to people having to be closeted to, you see it all over the news now and how widely accepted it is.
Mm-hmm. All right. What about you, Xavier?
So how the LGBTQ community evolved was, if y'all ever heard of Stonewall, that's kind of how Pride Parade started. It started as a kind of serious riot where like bricks were being thrown at police. Like, oh no, my bad. Sorry, Colton, but it's true, and like that's what we had to do to get where we are today. Is it started with some serious backlash with the AIDS crisis, where Ronald Reagan was completely ignoring it. Some serious issues in states all over. And I'm so glad, even from... so I came out early. I came out in 7th grade. And, like, when I came out, like, the week before I came out, gay marriage was legalized all across America by the Supreme Court, and that was really amazing. And that was right before I came out. But we obviously have a lot of work to do. You won't mention Florida, but I will. So see what's going on in Florida. See if you can help your friends get out of Florida, and whatnot. Yeah. Trans rights.
Yeah. All right, pals. You too. What about you? How do you think the LGBTQ has evolved? You're muted, by the way.
Yep. Am I muted?
No, you're good now.
You're good now.
Okay. I was worried that I accidentally turned off my mic. Like, I'm gonna be a bit bold here and say that I don't think it really evolved in a way that many people would expect, because when a lot of the protests for LGBT and all of that end up starting, like with Stonewall, I could agree it very much meant something. It's just a bunch of people who are completely different than the social norms, who are just trying to say, we just want to exist. That's all we want. And I feel like that has definitely evolved when we reached into the 2000s, into the 2010s, where equal marriage became a thing. I think it was completely beautiful. But if I'm looking past the last 5 years, if I really take a step back, I still think that the community is still strong as ever. But I can't help but feel that there's a little bit of a sense of entitlement. Like a dangerous sense of entitlement within members of the LGBTQ community. And it's usually the people who are screaming the loudest that I think it's doing a lot more damage than good. At least that's my stance on it.
Each community has their own extremes. Mm-hmm. And not all of them are always pretty.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that every community, whether the LGBTQ or even furries or any community really, they all have their bad sides. It's just what matters the most is what we make of it, and if we choose to let it control how we feel, that shouldn't matter. You should just enjoy the good memories that you have with the people around you instead of who's being the loudest.
That's a fair point.
Because I know it's sometimes
It'd
hard
be nice
to
if
ignore.
we could avoid.
I know it's sometimes hard to ignore those things. I get that. But it's always good to, remind yourself, hey, I'm surrounded by people in this community that love me, and I need to give all my time and attention towards them because they are the ones that are making the effort to make me happy, and therefore you should also make them happy. That's what I think matters when you do these things.
And I think the beautiful thing of this
It'd be nice.
community, and I think the beautiful thing that I've noticed in this community is the what's the word I'm looking for? I have my train of thought. I think I lost it. Come on, get back in the station. Okay, I think I got it. What I really love about this community is the sense, like the community itself, and being able to surround the people who are just happy to have you and have you be the person that you are, and allowing you to just open up and just embrace the things that you love about yourself and the hobbies that you like, whether it be YouTube channels, collecting stuffed animals, collecting weird things that people are just like looking at you like, why the hell are you just collecting that? And you're just like, I just want to be happy to be alive. Is that really too much to ask? And that's one of the things I very much love about the community. And yes, there's going to be the negatives, and there's always going to be the positives. But I think it's also the person's viewpoint and decision of, do I choose to focus on the negative aspects of the community, or do I choose to focus on the positive, or do I try to acknowledge them both?
I guess it just depends on your perspective. All right. So I guess I wanted to ask you, do you guys have any friends that are, heterosexuals that support you guys? And I'm not just saying from like an LGBTQ standpoint. I'm talking about just you as a person. They accept you for who you are and they are okay with it. Let's start off with you, Sakura.
Well, I mean, I would definitely say my biggest one is my mother. I'm actually very lucky that, I have a cis mother who has accepted me for who I am. She actually goes out of her way to call me her daughter and takes me out for girls' days and,
Aww,
really supports who I am. And I guess that's probably my biggest one. But I mean, I do have, a few hetero friends who, have always been super accepting of who I am and, actually do go out of their way to protect me in a lot of cases. Like we'll be out walking somewhere, they'll see somebody staring and be like, what are you staring at? Do you see a problem here? And like, that's actually even something that my mom's done. We'll be out on an outing and she'll see somebody staring at me and she'll look at the person and be like, what's the problem? This is my daughter. Do you have a problem here? And it's really interesting watching the people like, don't talk to me because they've been caught. But like, I definitely would say that, I have a lot of really good support from like, the cis community.
Oh, okay. That's good. I'm actually happy for you and your mother. That's a good bond to have for sure. What about you, Xavier?
I don't really interact with straight people. The few that are furries that support us, already because they're in the community, are kind of the people that I interact with. Some of the friends that I've had growing up have been very supportive of me, but of course I moved and I haven't really kept up with those people. But at this time, I don't really have any ongoing friendships with straight people, which isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. It's just kind of the way things are right now. But yeah.
What about? I know you mentioned like in conversations before about your mother.
So my mother has been very supportive of me being queer. She isn't really a great mother, but she is a good friend. So growing up, she didn't really do what was best for me all the time, but right now she's a really good friend, and I support her as a mother, and she supports me as a queer person.
All right, that's good. I'm actually happy for you on that too.
Me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you? What about you, House? You have any straight friends that, or even straight? Well, I mean, family that are straight that support you?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I believe that the three biggest ones would be my dad, my mother, and my sister. And out of the three, my sister was the first who I came out to when I knew 100% that I was into guys, that I was gay. And the reaction that she gave me was when I ended up telling her, Lucy, I'm gay. And she's like, oh, not surprising. Like, she was just like not phased at all. She's not phased at all. And I'm like, seriously? And she's like, yeah. Like, knowing you and understanding that makes the most sense. And I'm like, what?
I guess she was like waiting for you to just be like, what took you so long?
Oh my god.
Hurry up.
Yeah. Yeah, and so far my dad was not exactly any different of a reaction. I ended up coming out to him when we were like at a pizza joint, and he was like, oh cool, can you pass the Parmesan? Like, he wasn't even phased at all, but like, he wasn't even phased at all on that. But my mother had a bit of a different reaction, and hearing what she had to say after I came out, she was very supportive of me. She was supportive of me being gay, of my career choice. But I think it wasn't from an ill intent place. It was more of a place of concern of me coming out, because she understands that because I'm gay, me living out in the world or even like adjusting to the world is going to be difficult. And it's already going to be difficult because of my background. But I'm not going to let that affect my daily life. I'm going to live out my life the way that I see fit. And I'm just happy that I'm able to at least have support of my whole family who has my back through all this way.
I'm happy for you, though. That's awesome. With me, my biggest supporter is definitely my mother. I have mentioned my mother on the show many times. There has been many conversations that I've had with her about how I felt, and she was completely okay with it. By the way, audience, if you guys didn't know, my mother is also one of the few people who actually helped us, like, just a little bit in the early stages, developed Top Dogs with us, because she wanted to help this project, because she knew how much the idea was meant to me, and Colton, helping us out with that. So yeah, she is aware I'm a furry again, and pansexual, I guess, at this point. So yeah, so she's been one of my biggest supporters, and I don't think that bond is ever going to break. I owe her a lot, a lot of everything. Yeah, she's aware of this whole organization. She gave us advice when we first started off, and didn't she, Colton? She did.
Colton's
Just
so
like that
adorable.
Yeah, and of course, Colton remembers the information better than me, because he was able to process everything faster than I could. But that's not what's important. What matters is that she did help us to get where we are now. If we didn't have some type of guidance along the way, we probably wouldn't be where we are today. So yeah, thanks, Mom, if you ever see this video. I might have to show you this one.
Thank you, Mama Fiction. We love you.
Thank you. Gracias para todo. Te amo.
Aw,
Arigatou
that's so adorable.
Oh no!
Oh no, Xavier crashed. But that's okay. He'll be back. But anyways, since we have that, you know what I wanted to point out, since we're on the subject of straight people, is that I know some of my straight friends, they do want to support and go to the Pride, But the thing is that they're not really worried. They're that comfortable with their sexuality. I think what sucks though is that I've heard from my straight friends, like, they want to go and support their friends that are gay, bi, whatever. It's just that they have friends that are gonna judge them, saying, hey, you're just as, you were basically them if you go hang out with us. I was like, that's not necessarily true.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all.
Mm-mm.
No,
it's
just
not.
No.
if you just make people aware that at the prides that you are a straight man, or straight man or straight woman, just showing your support doesn't matter.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supporting your friends. It's like, okay, so it raises the question of, if you're supporting your friends, why aren't your friends supporting you and wanting to support your friends? Like, that's
the thing. I didn't know that was a problem, though, for some straight people that do want to support, I didn't even know that was a thing. That was surprising to me.
You would think that
I've heard of that before, but like, it's... Sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah. You would think that the point of Pride Parade is not just celebrating your sexuality, it's also just having a good time. It's a party. You're living life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
But it's just that too, is it's supporting one another. You're supporting your LGBT friends who are not only part of the community, but, maybe, you're there, you're heterosexual, but you're supporting the people there who are part of the LGBTQ community. So, I mean, it's a show of support, and, that should be nurtured and celebrated. It shouldn't be made fun of or cause people issues.
It's just, I don't really agree that there is some people that give some of my straight friends a hard time just because they want to support the LGBTQ community, saying that you're probably just as, gay or bi as them. And I'm like, I said, just because I attend something, I know.
I'm trying really hard not to give Colton bleepables here right now, because there's so much I want to say to that.
I know. This could be added onto the question, which is, what are some of the challenges the LGBTQ community still face today? And you can add on to that for some straight people that do want to support, but they have that thing where there is some straight people that they know is just holding them back from supporting, because if they go to these events, then But what do you think are some other struggles that we go through?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it still comes down to a lot of the LGBTQ community is still seen as taboo. Especially to... I'm not very much of a political person, but I want to say, like, the left-wing Republicans, a lot of people who were raised to believe that, if you're not heterosexual, that, it's a sin against God. It's, it's a sign of the devil. It's, something that can't be accepted because it's not part of, the social norm. And it's those people who go out and, unfortunately to a point, are people that we fear. Because, hate crimes do exist. I can't tell you how many times I've read stories of, a transgender person who was killed just because they were transgender, because of a heterosexual person who thought that they shouldn't live.
Okay.
And, it's a scary world out there. And, like Xavier brought up, and we'll bring it again, Florida is a prime example of this. They're trying to literally ban people who are LGBT from living in Florida, from schools to businesses to, everything in the government. They're literally trying to ban the LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a scary thing to, that's happening, and it's very real. And despite how much, we're trying to push hard and, evolve as a society and evolve as, a people, that there are still people out there who still believe very strongly in these things, that, we shouldn't exist because we're not part of, that norm of, what's expected of, a person who is born of a specific gender. I mean, there's always going to be, and until humanity can learn to evolve beyond, what you see in front of you, that, there's going to be struggle for a very long time. And to a point, it's very scary.
Okay. But before we continue on with this conversation, I do need to make some announcements, which is be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the notification bell. If you hit that notification bell, it will notify you with each video that we come out, and also with a little bit of shorts that come out as well. Follow us on our audio platforms and leave us a rating as well. That will help us out a lot. Also, join our Discord and Telegram chat. Links for all these things and all this information are in the link tree down below in the description. Another thing that I want to do this is calling out the Top Dogs fans. If you want some cool stuff, you can by subscribing to our server subscriptions on Discord. Become a podcast supporter today. Get exclusive raw and uncut footage of your favorite podcast episodes. Join supporter meetups and talk with other podcast supporters and the team. Plus, you get a custom supporters and the custom-made paw emoji and other goodies that I had a brain fart that come with our $2.99 subscription. But wait, there is more. Upgrade to Podcast Supporter Plus and get episode voting, supporter feedback, and leave audience participation for only $5.99. You also get a sneak peek of upcoming ideas, merchandising, and more. You don't have to join these subscriptions, but all these things help us grow. So we appreciate your support coming out here and everything. Also, that's what I was going to mention. We do have Patreon as well. I do not have anything written for that yet. But yes,
But we do have one. If you wish to support
Yes, we do have a Patreon. I will take note of that. But anyways, let's continue on with the show. And by the way, welcome back, Xavier. To get you caught up to speed, we are talking about the struggles that the LGBTQ community is going, the challenges that we're going through today.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, so you want to start us off, Xavier?
Sure. So right now, in a lot of states, in the United States, I assume that is where most of our audience is that in a lot of states, they're trying to get rid of trans-affirming care for anyone under the age of 18, and in a lot of ways, anyone at all. And that is like hurting trans people. Forcing a trans person that has dysphoria to go through puberty is very, very dangerous in a lot of ways, and can be very harmful. And a lot of medical organizations, psychological associations say so as well. I hope that Colton will put some links in the description for ways that we can help our trans friends and allies.
There will be some links to the under description below for to help the community. Yes.
Also, bathroom bills and lots of other things.
Yes, please.
Bathroom bills? That's a new one.
So you remember a few years ago? I don't know if you ever pay attention to like political discourse, but
we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
So, is there anything else you want to say, Xavier, or you have everything you wanted to say?
It's pretty much everything I wanted to say about the plight. Okay. It is mostly trans people, but they go after trans people, and then they'll come after gay people, and then, you know, whatever happens next. So.
Okay. Back there, Hals. What about you? What is your struggles do you think that we go through as a community in the LGBTQ?
I think the biggest struggles that immediately pop into my head right now is being able to be taken seriously by the general public. And it doesn't really help that the LGBT, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're not as big of a community as many people want to think. And I think it's being taken seriously by people who are not part of the community. That's the biggest struggle. We have people that are saying like, oh, we should do A, B, and C to try to uplift these people. Like, we can't really do it ourselves. And then there are other people on the other side of the spectrum that just sees us as demon spawns who should not even exist. And I think for the people that are trying to be reasonable, like trying to spread knowledge and try to at least help people understand where we're coming from and to know this is how this works, or this is what we need, or this is what we should do to better our communities, in which it's suddenly completely overlooked because the bunch of people that are screaming the shoutest, because that completely makes sense, screaming the loudest we're screaming the loudest, who, in lack of a better words, tend to be uneducated, completely emotional, and very much driven by hate that is going to get the most viewings from people. And because that's the only thing that's being shoved into other people, and that's the first thing that they see, all of a sudden the LGBT community becomes this terrible community that should be avoided, or they don't know how to interact with. So I think building a reputation and a very positive image of ourselves, whether it's individually or as a community, in order to say, this is not what we stand for, all we want is just to help this or to do that, and to just explain what our needs are and what we're trying to do, and ultimately it's just trying to live our life to the best of our ability. That I think it's the biggest struggle for this community right now.
Okay. I need that. Let me adjust myself. My feet are... With me, I would say you guys pretty much named it all, so I applaud you for doing that and taking the words out of my mouth. That was amazing. Do that more, please. Make my job a whole lot easier. But I would say, I'm growing up with a mom who is a religious woman. And that is surprising to a lot of people. I get that. But she has made it very clear to me, that made sense to me from, her religious perspective, which was, that every person is a sinner, no matter what you do. And you will always be forgiven for anything you do. It doesn't matter. As long as you're a good person, who cares what your sexuality is? That should not be a harsh judgment for anyone. And she was never really a big fan of people who make worse mistakes in their lives and still think that because of your sexuality that's worse than what you did. Like, for example, crimes that are illegal, things like that, like way worse, like taking another life, and people are praying forgiveness, and she doesn't like that, and thinking that. And they still keep doing it. That's what she doesn't like, that kind of thing. You guys what I'm saying when I say that?
I believe it makes complete sense. And
she thinks there's worse things out there than just your sexuality. And she doesn't even believe that should be in the conversation of what other things that people have done in this world that are way worse. And to her, that should be looked more into than just somebody's sexuality.
I don't think sexuality is anyone's business except for the person who has this, who, I don't know, holds the sexuality of their own. Whoever they choose to share it with.
I've even heard two unique perspectives if we're really going to look on the religious aspect of it. And many people have even made the argument that if our sexuality is truly a sin and that God punishes everyone for being a sin, then wouldn't literally everybody in the world be dead? There was even at some point where STDs and AIDS end up becoming a factor, which people thought it was some sort of punishment. And if many people argue that if it's really a punishment from God, then everybody would be going to the hospital and the clinic for these kind of things.
I wouldn't necessarily dwell too much on the whole point of religion. I'm just saying that any type of community that takes anything to extreme, whether that includes religion, politics, communities, it's still not going to look good. There's still, I believe there is still, decent people, whatever community you're a part of. You just got to watch out for the people that take these ideologies to the extreme.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe everybody in certain communities are bad. It just so happens that the people that are the loudest puts a whole broad, negativity towards that group. And some people are not always bad in those communities.
And that is where religion and politics tend to get very, very messy.
Yeah. As long as you're a decent person, then I don't really have a problem with you. And that's what I think. You guys have your
The
own.
world saw it that way.
The sharpest tool one can
look at-
wield is a kind and gentle soul.
Yeah, of course. But, as we continue on with this conversation, let me say this. Do you think our future in the LGBTQ will be better in the long run?
I want to say yes, only in the fact that, like I said before, considering where we were in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, just how much I've seen the LGBTQ community become more widely accepted. I'd like to think that moving forward, our generation, sure, our generation still has bad eggs in it, but, us in particular, who are going to be bringing in the next generation, who are going to teach our children that people can be accepted for who they are, no matter, what walk of life they live, what their gender is, what genitalia they were born with. We're going to teach the next generation that accepting people is going to create, a more peaceful future for everybody. And, it's through our acceptance that we can create the next generation of acceptance. And once we teach our children, they're going to teach their children then. And I know this is being wildly optimistic, but I want to say as each generation continues forward, as long as we nurture what we have right here, that I can see the evolution of everybody being accepted. It may be years down the line. It may end up being, the next 2 or 3 generations. But
maybe another century.
It could very well be. But I do see a world where everybody is accepted, because we're going to teach them, and then they're going to teach their next generation. They're going to teach their next generation. So I'm being optimistic.
I like how you still have hope. I think that's a good thing to have.
I think overall hope is very important, especially when it comes to social issues like this, where it's like people literally want trans and gay people killed, and I know that's very grim, but it's true. And I think it's very important to have hope that we can change people's minds. We can move forward. We can continue to be safe, and we can continue to do the things that we do as a community to gather and whatnot, and to teach the next generation, like Sakura said. That's what I think overall is. I think hope is very important, so I lean towards optimism. That's what I have to say.
Okay, what about you, House?
I do believe that there is very much a lot of hope for the LGBTQ community, and I feel like at some point we will reach a point where we're able to coexist with everyone else and we're able to get along with pretty much everybody, whether it be the person down the street, a person at the supermarket, friends you surround yourself with. I do believe that. Though ultimately, I think there will be like those handful of people that are just stuck in their ways and that just refuse to change. But ultimately, they'll just be forgotten because they're just, at the end of the day, they're just individuals who have nothing better to do with their lives and would rather just wallow themselves in their own self-pity rather than just acknowledging that the world is still going around. The world is still changing. You can't stop change. It's inevitable. So either embrace the change or hit the road.
I would say that the mission with the LGBTQ community. Oh, I heard that. Whoops. Well, you guys just found out our secret of how we operate.
My bad. I'm sorry. I didn't have it right into my headset. I'm so sorry.
You're good.
I'm so
You're good.
sorry.
I heard kid's voice in the background. I love it. That was it.
Sakura, we love you, Bean.
Yeah, we love you. We love you too, kid. You're doing a great job over there.
It's okay. Thank you.
This week on Top Dog Bloopers.
We revealed our secrets of how we communicate. There is secrets, Colton, you liar. I heard that. If you guys want some context, I heard him on the other side of the room. He said, "There is no secrets." I was like, "There is secrets, you liar." So, but anyways, I would say, but back to what I was saying, there is definitely. There is still a huge mission going on with the LGBTQ. I know, of course, in America, we have our own mission here, but there is, and where we wish things could be better here, I feel like they're in some places they're worse, especially like places like the Middle East and Russia. They need bigger help than I would say we do. And hopefully, as time goes by, I hope, because I can only hope that they get help too, because I'm trying to be optimistic about that as well. So that's what I have to say about that. Anyways, do you guys have any other further information that you guys want to give? Any like anything at all?
Well, I'd like to again, reiterate on hope because having been born in Japan myself, being transgender is still considered taboo there. However. Like, there is still the ability to find transgender affirming care in a country like Japan. I mean, you have to get certain diagnoses for it, and, it comes on the medical side. But, in a culture that's so wrapped up in tradition and, spiritualism and, things being, as they should be, if a country like that can slowly begin to accept, the LGBTQ community. Because let's face it, I mean, if you watch videos about, the community out there in Japan, it's wild. And, but I digress. If a country like that can consider, the LGBTQ community and evolve past that taboo, I'd like to think that the rest of the world has that ability.
What's strange? Yeah, like I know, especially in Southeast Asia, they're having. I don't know much about what research has been done there, but I know for a fact that the Philippines accept more than Japan does, which is interesting.
Absolutely.
That I didn't know that. Now, that's what I did look up into some of that information when we were doing this, but it has been based on an article that I was looking at from it's how do I pronounce it? pureresearch.org. They have made what's the word? They made a percentage of who say homosexuality should be accepted by society, and the Philippines have a whopping 73%, and Japan has a 68, so it's a little bit higher in the Philippines, which I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. But I didn't really like put my full time into.
It'd be cool if it was all 100% across the board. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would say the Philippines is definitely pushing it. So you're Colton, your home country is on the right path. Well, you were born in America, but still. Well, I guess I want. You don't have to say anything, but I would say you've been to the Philippines. Would you say there is a presence of the LGBT there that's pretty good when you were visiting? Oh, okay, that's good. I'm actually happy for you. But anyway, you guys have anything else to say?
I think in terms of entertainment, especially when we're talking about LGBT representation, and I hope in the future that creators, whether they be animators, writers, or even directors, just start creating characters as just that, as just characters. Like they're just allowed to exist and allowed to just be able to roam in a story and not feel like they're just checking out a box just for the sake of like, we need representation in this film, make it happen. And ultimately, I think the community,
A character
as well
that
as the
happens
story,
to be gay, not a gay character.
Absolutely, because I think that's been happening a lot more when it comes to Disney and their remakes, and a lot of things are coming out of Hollywood, and I can understand where they're coming from, but it's like, just draw them as a character. Don't try to appease a community just because you want to uplift them. Actually, just create a story that people are going to want to watch, not people that feel like. Are you
suggesting that if they're gonna make a character based on you just don't want them to make a character that's very loud about their sex? Are you saying you don't want them to be loud about their sexuality? Is what you're saying? I
think a lot of what it stems from is you want the representation to come from somebody who's genuine. You don't want to write, a story about, and have somebody
Not
representing a gay character. You want to actually have a gay character portraying the gay character, I mean, there was that whole controversy with Brendan Fraser and the movie Whale. They made him look fat instead of having a fat person, or a larger person, I apologize, instead of having an actual larger person playing the character. Actually representing that, hey, this is a real thing. These are real people, not just having people portray it.
And I
so
think
much to speak, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it also stems down from the writing, and I feel like if you had two different writers and they were writing the exact same character, both of them would write them differently, but depending on who's writing what, the execution of the character would either turn out terrible or turn out fantastic. So I think there's also a point of who's representing this character. Is this character actually going to be genuine for that particular role? And who's writing the character? Is it well written? Is it are they trying to make this character into something that it's not, or are they giving the character an opportunity to breathe throughout the story?
That's definitely a conversation to have. I would like to, because I remember when we used to have a conversation when you were telling me what stories you wanted to write, and I gave you advice. I was like, you gotta have some variety with your characters, otherwise it's gonna come off as biased. You're very biased about it. Yeah. So when I told you, when I was, and I'm just gonna say this, I have maybe one or two gay characters in my story that I want to write, but they're not. Everybody will know eventually they are gay, but they are not look at me, I'm gay. They just accept that, yeah, I'm gay, and to continue on with their life. That's kind of how I develop them. And I think that's how it should be, me personally. Because if you have a character that's too loud, that has no effect, that does not affect the conflict or the story, then it's very distracting. So I get where you're coming from. And it's so I get that, yeah. But that's like a whole nother conversation for that time. Do you want anything to say, Xavier?
I think we're running out of time. But yeah, so a great example of great representation right now in animation, I'd say, is the Owl House.
Yes.
Love that show to death. If you haven't seen it, go out and watch it. I love it.
It's a beautiful cartoon.
It is great representation of characters that are gay and queer and not just that, you know.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I saw you watch it a few times with Colton, I believe. That was that show, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. But I don't really have anything else to say, so I'm going to end it right here. Thank you guys for attending today's episode. Oh, if you want to say something, Sakura, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have one final thought because this is actually really big. My girlfriend, she is actually from Britain, and she turned me on to a competition called Eurovision, and it's like the whole European competition of like different singers, different actresses, different, music. And the big thing was the LGBT support that they showed there. I don't remember which country it was, but there was one country that came in with the inclusive flag, because as they're coming down the stage, they always have like their country's flag. Well, one of them came down with an all-inclusive flag. Absolutely incredible to see. I know at least a couple of the stars who came out were part of the LGBT community, and everybody celebrated it. It was an absolutely incredible showing. So if you guys have the opportunity, check out Eurovision 2023, because it is a wonderful showing of how the world can come together and everybody gets accepted.
I agree. I have one more thing to say as well, and that is be yourself, be safe, have fun.
That's a good message to have, Xavier.
There you go.
And everybody else need anything to say? You guys, you good? Is everything good?
Yeah, I think
all right.
Good.
All right. Well, that concludes today's episode. We thank the audience for taking the time to listen to this. This was a very deep and personal episode for a lot of people in this room. But we're gonna most likely do a part 2 with, Whiplash and Strain, that's for sure. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I'm hearing Colton laugh in the background. I don't know why he's laughing. I'm gonna figure out why later, but I would say, that concludes today's episode. We're gonna definitely do a part 2 with Streaming Whiplash. And we're going to probably most likely do that at the end of the month. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful time. Colton's life's going to kill me. Anyway, see you guys next week.
Oh, no.
Bye-bye.
That's a wrap.